keep it a stack.
Yeah, keep it a stack.
Because I think something with issues like this is that oftentimes when you talk about something like tariffs as a regular consumer, it's not super clear how it will immediately affect your day-to-day life. I am groaning right now because I run a company that manufactures clothes in China and like often in China, and we bring them over from China to the US to sell them. That is how Mogul Merch makes a lot of the clothes that it makes.
You actually pick only the sweatshops, right?
You're always trying. 54% is crazy, dude. This is bad for what I have to do this year. This is bad for the business that I effectively run.
Can you quickly explain for my audience what you're doing at Mogul Merch?
Yeah,
I actually
so
don't
my,
know. This
my
is
longest,
Ludwig's company, right? Yeah.
My longest term job with Ludwig, a lot of people don't know this. I literally have a day job. I work at Ludwig's company, Mogul Moves. My old job was that I ran his merch company. Not only for him, it also did the merch for the Yard. It used to do merch for other influencers for a time. But we mostly just focus on Ludwig's clothes now. My job has changed a little bit. I run Ludwig's like whole company now, but I am still in charge of the merchandise as well. The reason that this affects this so directly is like usually like, you know, if you happen to be listening to this and you happen to be someone who's bought some of our merch over the years, you might notice that it's actually like pretty like high quality stuff, like something impressively custom made for what you'd expect from influencer merch, which is something we're very proud of. The way things like that work when you want to make like a really custom jacket with specific specifications and not just a blank hoodie that you like print on, which is a lot of what merchandise is, you have to make the specs of the product and then go to a factory and get that product specifically made. A lot of the industry for that type of item exists primarily in China. China has a very, very developed and specialized manufacturing sector because of all the business they've done over the past decades, right? And a problem is a lot of that type of manufacturing doesn't even exist in the US. There isn't a local option you can go to because economically, it doesn't really make sense for that type of company to exist. Like if I wanted to make that type of custom clothing in the US, I would need to go to a US factory that might be able to do that. And that sort of business for those special types of jackets or hoodies or whatever we want to make don't exist in the US. So we work with factories in China, factories in Portugal, places where that is more like economically viable and that industry does exist that can make that item. So in the short term, like in response to these tariffs, right? The tariffs that already exist on China and the increase that had gone into place prior to this was already affecting our new orders of clothes going into this summer. And it's actually been tough because the drops we have coming up are also licensed drops with like IP. So you're balancing the fact that you have to split the cost with like the licensor that you're working with. Now the cost of manufacturing the goods is going up because of these tariffs. And then this adds a huge percent to the base cost of those goods that we're making. I'm locked into those contracts to make with those factories already. I can't back out and like make another decision now. So that is why I am like, this is a very selfish reason to be exasperated, but I think probably something that other business owners in the US are feeling right now is they see this giant list and then be like, oh, this fucks me over, basically.
This is perfect. Let me just go into this real quick. This is a perfect example.
I also, I want to hear it because this is exactly what Trump wants.
Exactly.
Your response right now, which is
Donald Trump would like you in response to that.
Oh, yeah.
To build a factory in America.
I know.
Or for the demand to create a factory in America.
I'd love that.
That is what he would like, so that you would do this. And I can...
How much could it cost, Michael?
I don't
$10?
agree. But I want to steel man this argument, okay? The idea is that all our manufacturing has gone to these different places. We want to bring it back. If we make it too expensive to buy from there, eventually someone will build it here, is the idea. Now, we've talked about the Jones Act and how that stuff can end up backfiring and American consumers end up paying more for like a less quality product where they build up. But not even that. So if you are a person with a bunch of money and you're thinking, okay, well, I guess I'll build this factory. What you have to think about is in longer term cycles, like
with
more than
a couple
of years.
Money.
So you're like, okay, if I'm going to build this, then in 4 years or whatever, these tariffs better still be around. Because if they go away or they change, then I'm left with this unprofitable American factory that I spent all my money on. And then everyone's back to buying stuff from China for cheaper. So the tariffs have to be truly ironclad and rock solid and long-term and built with that in mind. Now, what we've seen so far is so chaotic and so scatterbrained and so up and down, and so that it makes it impossible for any businessman to realistically get the funding, the agreement, the board approval to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna take the risk and I'm gonna build this in America. That's even if this would work. Now, there's other many.
Can I say the other part of this is okay, so part of the reason that the factory doesn't exist in the US at all in the first place, right, is that if you opened that factory, the prices would be higher than the Chinese one, right? You would have to be the labor cost, the cost of building the factory.
We can't even hire kids
everything.
Here.
We can't even get the kids involved these days. And I'll bring that around when we talk about South Korea. My problem is that not only is this about is it kind of impossible to move forward with an idea like that, right?
Yeah.
At my scale, I can't even make a decision like that. I can't be the one who opens the factory. I would rely on people with more money and more business interest in opening that factory to begin with. But even if that factory opened, the prices and costs of running that factory mean that whatever they produce would be more expensive than what I was getting from China or Portugal before. And the prices of how I have to sell the custom jacket that maybe I do get to make at that factory eventually are way higher than what I would have been able to sell the jacket at. So the hoodie that maybe we get to sell for, I'll make an example in my head. A common, a nice hoodie that we recently made cost around $80, $85. The margin to Mogul Moves at the end of all of that was a $20 margin-ish. And if we wanted to maintain that margin, the price just would have to shift up by whatever the value of the tariff is on that good, right? And if I went to that American company that's producing it at a higher cost, then I have to sell my consumer a more expensive, more inaccessible hoodie. They are not benefiting from it either. Less people will be able to buy that product. If they want it. And I realize I run a merchandise company, right? There isn't nothing, no one's lives are no one's lives are at stake by being able to get the Mint Mogul Moves hoodie that we made or something. But I'm just making a point of it's not like this US factory gets built and then we magically get to go back to the costs and the price of the good pre-tariff. It's that industry just happens to exist in the US now. Or
it's
that
more
factory just
expensive, but
happens
now
to be
it
in
has
the
some
US.
jobs in the US.
Exactly. And then that's ignoring the point that Brandon
said. And this
said.
is applied to every good, not just merchandise.
Yes.
Every good from nearly every country at the exact same time and with no prior even leak of what the numbers would be. Again, I've been watching this very closely up to this day. As of last night, the market was in panic because they don't know what he's going to announce. He comes out and all of these numbers hit at once. And the market was up today, and then this got announced, and it tanked. I mean, just fucking plummeted. You guys are doing terrible in the stock market competition.
Yeah, we're